Battlefield Podcast.
Welcome back to Battlefield The Road So Far. In our final installment, we're going to be talking about Battlefield 3 that you are all very familiar with, I'm sure. This is currently, as of this recording, the most recent installment, but Battlefield 4, of course, is literally probably hours away from when you're watching this. Released in 2011, again on all platforms. To me personally, Battlefield 3 is the game that brought gaming back to my circle of friends. Everybody that I used to play games with, whether it was Battlefield 2 or 2142 or even Bad Company, we all sort of reunited on the PC platform in my case. And it's also the one that I've probably poured the most hours into, the most money into, the most sweat, and also the one that, you know, we as the Battlefield Podcast have most grown our community and really truly made friends with. So Battlefield 3 is always going to be a highlight in the Battlefield series for us. And speaking of highlights, Tim's going to point out a couple of cool things about Battlefield 3.
You know, with Battlefield 3, there's so many new things to the Battlefield world. But I guess two things that really stand out would be, one, Battlelog. It was the first time we ever saw a web browser-based system, being able to, you know, anywhere picking from loadouts and customizing your loadouts, picking out servers. For a long time, gamers were used to loading into a game, actually, you know, turning on their systems, loading into that game, and then picking your server out within the game. Now, with Battlefield 3, we had this new thing called Battlelog, and having to, you know, just turn on a web browser and being able to do everything within the web browser before loading into the game was very different. And it took a little bit of getting used to, but I think it actually turned out for the best. I think the new Battlelog implementation for Battlefield 3 and now with Battlefield 4 has opened up a brand new set of doors for gaming in general, giving us the ability to use our tablets and smartphones and being able to do so many different things within Battlelog is very unique, and I think that's one of the big things that stands out for Battlefield.
You can really tell the progression sort of from Battlefield 2 and stats, where it was the stat pages were created by community members, to Bad Company and Bad Company 2, where the stat pages were now being served by DICE directly, but there was no friends list integration, any of that. Battlelog really brought that all together, and like you said, it didn't go without a fight. A lot of people didn't like it at first, but it's certainly here to stay.
Now, another thing that I think DICE and EA kind of got a lashing for at the beginning was this new Battlefield Premium system. We know that our lovely friends over at Activision with Call of Duty, they were doing this kind of their own premium system, and there was a big crying out to DICE, asking them, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this premium system? Why don't we just get free DLCs? And that was something that was new, having to, you know, pay an extra $50 for 5 map packs and you know, new weapons and all these things. It didn't really go over well, but I think it really, another thing that worked out for us in the long run, being able to give this video game extra longevity, being able to make this game last, you know, more than just a few months or even just a year. I mean, DICE was able to give Battlefield a 2-year lifespan, whereas I feel like if you just had the vanilla maps, or maybe you just had, you know, one free map every once in a while, the game wouldn't have lasted as long as it was, and I don't think the community would be as strong as it was, as it is now, if it wasn't for this premium system.
And it's another great example of something that will stick around for Battlefield 4. Premium is here to stay in some form or another. We're always going to have more content, and I think it's good for the game because, like you said, Tim, it expands the length of usefulness of that game by ensuring that there'll always be fresh content again. So, having said that, this was our look back across the Battlefield series. I'm sure we missed many important things that you'd want to point out, but it was supposed to be short and brief, just enough to squeeze it in there before Battlefield 4 rolls out, which this video should be on the day of release, at least in North America. Our poor European friends need to wait a couple extra days. But Battlefield 4, real quick, Tim, what are your... I mean, we've had a review of the beta and stuff like that, but if we were to predict what a Road So Far segment for Battlefield 4 would look like going forward, for me personally, I think it's gonna bring the next step in the evolution of the not only the Frostbite engine and the destruction and the realism and the customizability of the game. I think we're gonna see many more hours of us spent in the Battlefield series and really leaving a good footprint for future games as well.
I think what they're doing with Battlefield 4 is amazing. We're starting to see things that we've never even thought of with Battlefield as a whole. Having a real foothold in the competitive world of Battlefield is going to be a for real thing. Like, this is actually going to happen. Whereas, some of the big games you thought of in the competitive world of StarCraft and Counter-Strike and COD, I think Battlefield is there. I think Battlefield is ready to kind of show its face and say, hey, I'm here too. So that's very exciting for us. And like you said, I think this is definitely setting the way for future games, not just Battlefield, but for other games that are being developed by DICE. It's very exciting.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the road so far. If you're new to the channel and these are the first impressions of our videos, hopefully you enjoyed them. If you did, I'm sure you've been pressing like buttons all over the place. Hopefully you subscribed. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, all over the place. BattlefieldPodcast.com has links to everything, as well as the description of every one of our videos. So we will see you again very soon with Battlefield 4.
Good effect on target.